And today we will look at some advice for adults of all ages, from the Bible. Proverbs 6. King Solomon of Israel, the wise, gives advice to adults, practical and spiritual counsel, still relevant today, as we see in verses 1 to 5. My son, if you become surety for your friend, if you have shaken hands in pledge for a stranger, you have snared by the words of your mouth. You are taken by the words of your mouth. So do this, my son, and deliver yourself. For you have come into the hand of your friend. Go and humble yourself. Plead with your friend. Give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, and like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Heavenly Father, bless the reading of your word by the power of your Holy Spirit. First advice from King Solomon to us grown-ups is against surety. Surety, making yourself a pledge, what we would call co-signing for someone's debt, for a friend or a stranger, laying your life and fortune out for another. We discussed this in the Wednesday night Bible study class a few weeks ago, and decided in relation to giving all to others, or as Jesus says, to all who ask. This counsel from Solomon means, obviously, to not foolishly or blindly give to others. Pledge your fortune, your livelihood to others blindly, giving to a con man or to someone foolish who is perhaps overextending themselves or doesn't know what they're doing. They're using your affection or tie or affiliations to do something foolish. It's not about not helping your friends or not giving, but to not do surety or co-signing or pledging in a way that is foolish. Not backing a bad deal, an excessive, imprudent request, which we're getting more and more every day. You get them every day, hundreds of times a day. I'm on many mailing lists, we're all on many mailing lists. Since I was a professor of political science for years, I'll tell you a secret. Just as a professor of political science, I always would be on the mailing list of all the political parties and all the political candidates. And if you need a laugh, I suggest you try that. But it's amazing the requests you get for surety, to give your wealth, to give your time, to give your support to all kinds of people. And that's the kind of thing he's warning us about. He's saying, be thoughtful. If someone is known for bad business investments or a kind of careless lifestyle, asks you to risk your money or time or activity for them, he says, do not do so. And if you're tied up in something like that, get out of it. If someone impractical or unreliable is pressing you for support, he's saying, don't let your sympathy, don't let your kindness, you can be too kind sometimes. Not thinking, be careful, he's saying, be prudent, not stingy, you should be generous, but thoughtful generosity. So rather that you and they should work and live within our means, within our limits, within our needs, as he says in verses 6 to 11, goes right on as the reason for this. He says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer, and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep? So shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man." So the solution to surety in most cases, unless someone really needs it and you know they'll use it properly, is to live within your means, live within your limits, and work. Our American work ethic comes out of this. Effort, care, responsibility. Most of us were brought up with. I recall the discipline of schoolwork when I was a child. Do your homework first, and then you can watch TV. Work. Boy, it was beaten into it. So, carry your load, bear your burden. Even go beyond that. Then you go beyond that to help others. But mostly take care of yourself. Do your duty. Do your work. Carry your weight. Serve your family, your community. And that leads to prosperity. That leads to respect. Beware, he says, of shady characters. And there are more every day. Shady characters, con men, crooks, swindlers, often very respectable looking real prominent and prosperous and honest. He's saying, beware of that. Verses 12 to 15. A worthless person, a wicked man, walks with a perverse mouth. He winks with his eyes. He shuffles his feet. He points with his fingers. Perversity is in his heart. He devises evil continuously. He sows discord. Therefore his calamity shall come suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy. That kind of sneaky, conniving, often very persuasive crook, con man, winks, charming. How many women are fooled by charming, psychopathic men? I had a colleague at the college who taught criminology. Is that every time you got to the part about psychopaths or sociopaths, he said, who are outwardly very charming, just sweep you off your feet, charming, seductive. Then they rob you. Every time he got in, these are criminal class. Every time he got to that subject of sociopaths, half the girls in the class would leave the room crying. He said it reminded them of their last boyfriend. Pathetic. Now, my wife is very practical. She heard this, said, I don't want to be swept off my feet. I want to stay on my feet. That's why she got stuck with me. But this sort of threat of charm, something, the old saying, something sounds too good, it probably is. We see it all the time. All the time. Deals, offers. It's terrible to think of this. But in this information age, I know I have to just be on my guard all the time. We all have to be. And King Solomon knew. Get these calls and letters. Hey, we have this opportunity for you. Opportunity for me, right? Opportunity for them to rip you off. Right? It's terrible. You have to think that very hard, unless you've known someone for a long time. I get offers all the time, and I have to ask, what is behind this? What is this about? You have to check into it. You have to do background checks. Most of the time you can't find out enough, and you just pass it over because you know this has got a hook in it. There's some bait that's got a hook in it. We have to think about that all the time. We didn't have to think about that all the time before, but now we have to be, as King Solomon says, very, very cautious what we commit to. We talked in the Bible class about this co-signing and helping people. You know, being a good guy. Somebody asks you to help them. I want to help them. And I pointed out as I studied Thomas Jefferson most of my career, you know, Jefferson, who never was that good at finances. I mean, he knew that the guy kept log books of every expense, everything that came in, but he never subtracted. So he was always broke. He was always borrowing money. But then what ruined him at the very end of his life, you probably know this, Mr. Jefferson, co-signed a note for a friend of his. Loan. And a big loan, enormous. You know, today probably $1 million. Then Jefferson, in his 80s, he's almost dead, gets a letter from the bank calling the note. His friend did not pay the debt. And Jefferson knew at that point that he was ruined. He lost his whole estate. His children, his grandchildren were thrown on the street. Monticello had to be sold. That's what this is talking about. It broke his heart and probably killed him early. They say he went in and he fainted dead away. I'm ruined. I've lost my whole estate for my children, my grandchildren. If it hadn't been for the state legislature of the state of Louisiana voted a grant to Jefferson's daughter. Something like $10,000, which today would be $100,000 or $500,000, and saved that family because they were so grateful to Jefferson for the Louisiana Purchase. And God will often rescue us when we've, done something foolish. He'll save us that way. But Solomon's saying, don't put God through that. Be careful. Be cautious. And he says of these con men, of course, he just said, they harm others, but they come to swift destruction. They will rip off others, but they will be destroyed like that, wiped out. And I've seen examples of that too. Personally, people who I discovered were con men, and pretty soon, because God hates that. It says God hates evil in verses 16 to 19. These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him. A proud look, pompous, pretentious look. A lying tongue, lying, deceiving of the devil. Hands that shed innocent blood, murders. A heart that devises wicked plans. Feet that are swift in running to evil. Look for evil. Look for sin. A false witness who speaks lies. And one who sows discord amongst the brethren. Contentious spirit, like stirring up conflict, stirring up trouble. The Bible here says God hates those things. And God will stop them. But he tells us this to beware. To beware of a haughty look. To beware of a lying tongue. To beware of violent people. People who plan wickedness. Feet that run to evil, looking for sin. Looking for sin. Someone who lies about people, a witness, a false witness. makes false accusations, charges, lies, and especially sows discord amongst the brethren, amongst us, amongst the faithful, stirs up division and trouble. God hates that. Proverbs 6. Finally, Proverbs warns against adultery, infidelity, compares it to a trap. There's a trap. There's a trap laid out there. Adultery, unfaithfulness, sin. Don't walk into it. You walk into it, bang. Like a trap. You're caught. He says it's a form of stealing. Stealing someone's affections. We used to have a charge. They don't really use it much in courts anymore. Remember when we grew up, the charge of alienation of affection? Somebody stole your wife from you. You could sue them for alienation of affection. She used to love me and you stole her from me. Or a girl that steals another girl's husband. Alienation of affection. Don't go around alienating other people's affection. It's stealing. He's saying it's a form of stealing. Don't steal other people's houses. And leads, he says, to jealousy, obviously, jealousy, and destruction. Destruction. Go around stealing other people's spouses. Somebody might get killed. You know, many, many cases of that. So he's warning against that. All this advice to adults, to us, honesty, hard work, faithfulness, apply to each of us, and especially to our society today, a society full of deceit, laziness, licentiousness. This speaks to our very time. King Solomon in Proverbs 6. And what we know is that it's only through Christ that we can address these serious sins and dangers. Jesus' forgiveness of our sins through the cross, and empowerment of us to do good through the Holy Spirit who dwells within believers and cleanses us. As we resist sin, and the Bible says He cleanses us from all unrighteousness, and He strengthens us to resist sin, to resist con men, to resist temptation, to resist sin, and thereby stay a lot safer. Good people get hit by cars and sick and die of cancer. You know, this is the world, it's a fallen world. But if you want to increase your risk, God's saying, dabble in this stuff. Stealing, dishonesty, sin. If there was an actuarial table, life insurance on this, I don't know if there is, they would ask, do you do these evil things because we're going to charge you more for life insurance because you're going to get killed? That's worse than smoking. These are practical. They're religious, they're spiritual, they're moral, but they're practical teachings of God toward everyday life. And the world will say, you're a sap, for not engaging in these evils. You can make a deal, you make $1 million here. You run off to commit some sin, you'll get away with it. No, you won't. That's why we need to teach as the church. You may not get caught in this world, but guess who sees it? God sees everything. And God is going to deal with it one way or the other. Much better to repent and confess and have Him help us steer away from that evil, and He will forgive us and restore us. So we see again and again in the Old Testament the predictions of the New Testament, the leanings towards Christ and the fulfillment in Jesus of all these human problems. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank You for Your truth. We thank you for the wisdom you gave King Solomon of Israel in Proverbs. We thank you, Lord, that you gave us your Son, Jesus Christ, who fulfills the law and wisdom of the Old Testament, who gives us power to live that. And when we slip and fail, gives us forgiveness through Christ, redemption, and a new beginning, a new start, that we can get away from these evils that are really traps. Thank you, O Lord, for this wisdom. Thank you, Lord, as we enter the season of Lent, in preparation for the cross, in preparation for the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus, that we go into it knowing that he fulfilled this truth, this law, and we study how it prepares us to live a good life and to glorify God. In Jesus' name, amen.